Good afternoon, Conversation 2. I'm standing up again, which is good news because some people feel like the lectures recently have been less interesting. That's probably true because, on Zoom and without a wireless microphone, sitting at the desk isn't the most stimulating way to get a lecture. So hopefully this will help. Just the fact that you have a, you know, full-size person moving around will make it more interesting for you to listen to what I have to say. This week's lecture, we are now in week 12, and we're doing the ninth topic. We did have a Zoom lecture where we discussed there's going to be 10 topics for the exam. That format will be talked about again when we do review on week 14. Right now, I would like to just address the midpoint, the feedback thing. My professor, one of my professors thought that student feedback was nonsense because, you know, students who don't get high grades usually give the professor a lower score too. Your feedback is largely negative even if the professor is doing a good job. If the class is too difficult, you tend to, or it takes a lot of effort and, it requires a lot of energy on your part, then you're likely to give that professor a lower score. I know lots of professors from different universities, and some of them are they're known to be very, their classes are easier and they are more generous with their grades, and they tend to get better feedback, and they're popular. So I understand that, but I already told you, my professor who hated the whole system and said he had a permanent job, so he didn't really care what the students said. But he said the problem is that you're not an unbiased respondent. It's not like it's a double-blind secret shopper situation where you're getting feedback from customers at a restaurant and you don't know who they are. You know the students know the professor, they have a certain grade. All of these things affect how you're going to give feedback. So some of the feedback, what can I say? I can't really respond to somebody saying that, well, the class is boring, or I'm not interested, or it's too difficult. There's not really anything I can do about that. One student did say, though, that the textbook, like, what am I supposed to do with the textbook? This is a conversation class, so I try to take the ideas from the textbook and I put them into my own words. And the textbook is full of, I would say, just like notes. The same way that, when you do a presentation or when you do your interview with me, you're not supposed to memorize what you say. I can memorize Korean and I can make it look to you like I can speak Korean for about 2 minutes because I've memorized something. But after that, I can't have a conversation. And the same thing goes for you. I'm not interested in you memorizing 5 minutes of English so you can have a conversation for 5 minutes and make it look like you can speak English when you really can't. Once you get that job based on your English ability, you're going to have a pretty big problem, even if you do a good enough job to get through the interview. So the point of, in the textbook, we would normally do some of the exercises in class. I would ask you the questions, just like we would today. Page 102. People in the US on average live for how many years? And I would ask, and people would guess. And then we would talk about what life expectancy means and stuff like that. But there's not as much give and take. So hopefully we'll be in the classroom again sometime. And this is the kind of stuff we should do on Zoom, is spend more time discussing. But most of you, all of you Conversation 2 students, there's one class that's a little bit better than others, but for the most part, you're quiet. So one student said, I want to speak more. Why are we doing all these written assignments? Well, because homework is written and in class we speak. But when we're on Zoom, if you're the student who wants to speak, then when I ask a question to everyone and nobody answers, that's your opportunity to turn on your microphone and speak. Okay? So you can't complain about not speaking when we go on Zoom And then I ask an open question to the whole class and nobody says anything. And then I have to say, Bo Young, Hee Young, Eugene, So Young. I have to ask people's names to answer questions. So, I mean, the same thing happens in the classroom. If you really expect to improve your English and you want to speak, then it's up to you to take the opportunities. I don't want to speak on Zoom, especially for 1 hour without stopping. That's not what I'm there for, and that's not what I want to accomplish. So if you're one of those students that said, we have too much writing homework, or I want to speak more, next we have one more Zoom class. When I ask a question to you and you want to say something, then put your hand up. I told you to put your cameras on, put your hand up, speak up, answer my questions. That's how you get to practice. We should have more time and we should have a smaller class. That's also a thing. When you have 22 students and you only have a couple hours a week, that's not enough. So you have to take your opportunities when they're there. But that's just the reality of this class. You have to do some of your speaking on your own time. Now, that having been said, we do have a presentation. So congratulations if you wanted to speak more. 5 minutes is the presentation length. The file has been uploaded. I think there was some problems with it being not available for some reason. I don't know if I shared it properly or something, but I've adjusted it. So now you should have access to it. And the presentation guidelines are there. 5 minutes is the minimum, okay? So make sure it's 5 minutes, and then you have sort of excuse me, you have about 8 minutes maximum. So as soon as you hit 5 minutes, that's fine. You can wrap it up, right? Don't cut yourself off. But if you keep going to 6, 7, or 8 minutes, that's fine. Make sure you have, a complete presentation. You have to introduce yourself. You have to, present your topic by saying something. My name. Today I would like to talk about this topic, and the reason that I'm sharing this topic with you today is because maybe give a reason, and then start to present your information and do your demonstration, or teach whatever you want to teach, or explain something, or analyze the thing, whatever it is. Try and make us interested in traveling somewhere, or explain about something you're interested in. Whatever the object of your presentation is, go through the motions of that step by step in an organized way. And then when you're done, you say, thank you for listening to my presentation, and I hope it's made you think differently about this topic, or I hope you have a chance to try this too, or I hope you're also looking at this interesting topic in a new light. Whatever the case may be, say something conclusive and thank your audience, which will be me. But pretend you're talking to the whole internet, and then you're done. Okay? And that, if you want to do a really good presentation, you want to speak well, it's probably going to take a few tries. You're going to have to practice a little bit, and you might have to record more than once. But all of these things are good for you, and it's practice. And for the student who said, I wanted to speak more, it's too much writing homework, there you go. There's your speaking homework as you wanted. Okay, this topic this week is about what have you been doing. A very useful tense, the present perfect continuous, where you're talking about something that's happening now, just like the continuous tense, I am teaching. I have been teaching at Chungnam for 10 years, right? That's the situation where action is happening, and it started in the past and it's continuing through the present. That's all there is to it. So, how long has Jackie been studying English? 2 years. The statement, that's the question. The statement is, Jackie's been studying English for 2 years. So, I would like you to talk about something that you started doing in the past, and it's continuing through the present. So it's some sort of habit. Excuse me. It's got to be some sort of habit that you've started and are continuing to do. It doesn't matter if it started last week or, in my case, if it started 10 years ago, as long as it's already begun in the past. Okay? So, this can be related to anything in your life, and you might even talk about some other person. I always try to make these questions open because, I mean, that's what the textbook does too. If you read the textbook, every chapter does have examples for you to read, and those examples can help you prepare your own answers for our topics, for your homework before, but now just for how you're going to do in the exam. So in the textbook, on page 106, you do have an article about wasting time. And these are the things that I'm going to talk about today. So let's make sure that we relate the topic in the video lecture to the textbook. So the certain student who's been reading the textbook feels like they're getting their value. Wasting time. This is what it says on page 106. When was the last time you wasted half the morning looking for your glasses or a pair of scissors or the car keys? How much time do you spend standing in lines or stuck in traffic jams? How long did you spend waiting for the check the last time you went to a restaurant? These are a few of my least favorite things. I'm a sort of impatient person. Usually in an interview, when people ask me about my personality, and they say, you know, what's your strong point? What's your weak point? My chosen weak point is impatient. And that's sort of the flip side, I guess, of the good side of my personality, which is I'm enthusiastic and energetic. I want to get things done quickly. But sometimes you need to be patient. But I'm a very busy person and I try to do a lot of things. I'm a big fan of multitasking and being efficient. So if I feel like I'm standing there for 20 minutes and I'm not doing anything, I'm mostly thinking about all the things that I could be doing or I should be doing. And that causes me stress. Some people really don't care. Some people are fine. Time is time, and if I have downtime at the bus stop or I'm waiting for my friend or something, they'll just chill. And I admire that because I'm not very good at it. But that's the kind of thing that drives me nuts. I try to put my car keys in the same spot and my wallet in the same spot because I usually grab them as I go out the door. And I usually don't have 10 minutes to look for them, let alone a whole morning looking for them. So this sort of situation just makes me stressful thinking about it. It says, a recent survey in the US found that American people waste over an hour a day simply doing nothing. Now, you can have this perspective that this is wasting time, that you're losing an hour doing various things, but it's a sign of modern life that every minute or every hour has to be counted. And I think that's one of the reasons that I am stressed, is I feel like I have to do something. But do I? I don't think my ancestors got up at the same time of the day every day and heard the whistle and went to the factory or went to school at the same time, and like this flood of children just kind of walked to the elementary school. Every morning when I walk my dog at the same time because the elementary school kids kind of float out of their houses like zombies and then they trudge across the schoolyard, you know, in waves. And by 8:45, everybody's in the school. And at 8:50, I can walk my dog and no kids will be scared because I have a big dog. And I try to stay away from them. He's not a dangerous dog, but some kids just get scared. So I let all the kids go to school and then I walk my dog. And they all go at the same time. In the past, some kids would have gone to school. Some kids would have helped at the farm. Some kids would have stayed, you know, some kids would have worked for somebody else. There was all kinds of different things that my grandfather didn't even finish high school. So everybody had different schedules. And this is if you go back several hundred years before that, in the winter, farmers work really long days in the summer, but especially in England or in Canada, where the sun goes down really early, in the winter, you're not going to work very, very long because it's dark all the time. So, the idea of wasting time, what should you be doing all the time? Koreans are obsessed. If you're not in school, then you should be in a hagwon. And if you're not in a hagwon, you should be exercising. If you're not exercising, you'd be sleeping. There's always something that you need to be doing. I think you all know what I'm talking about. And if you're Chinese or you're from another country, perhaps your country has a different point of view, maybe similar to Korea, where everything is scheduled and you're not supposed to waste any time, or maybe a little bit more like Canada, where sometimes, you just, after school's out at 3:30, takes me 45 minutes to walk home, but that day it snowed a lot, so it takes me an hour and a half. My mother used to start to get worried sometimes because me and my friends would just, push each other into snow drifts, build snow forts, and have snowball fights all the way home. So our 45-minute walk, it's a countryside school. 45-minute walk turned into an hour and a half. And by the time we got home, it was dark. Is that wasting time? There's a lot of different expressions related to time because it's so important to our lives. Here I've got a few of them: passing time, killing time, and wasting time. So passing the time and killing the time are very similar, but I would like to say that the difference and the nuance there is, if you say I'm killing time, it just means kind of, there's no use for it, and I just want, maybe you're expecting something, right? Something fun is coming. I've got, an hour before I'm going to watch my favorite TV show, or, I've got an hour before I catch my airplane, and then I go on vacation, right? Or I've got 30 minutes before I'm going out on a date, and I'm ready to go out the door, but it's too early. So you just have to do anything just so that, because your mind is already thinking about the next thing, but so you can't focus on right now. So just get rid of the time. That's killing time. Passing time also means you want time to go quickly, but it doesn't necessarily mean just delete it in any way you can. Passing time means maybe that you're doing something productive, right? Like if you want to rest, I always think of pastimes as like crafty type things. This is probably because I'm Canadian, but I know there's Korean, parents who do this kind of stuff too. You make jam, or you ferment things. I know kimchi is a big whole process, but you might stitch something, fix some clothes, or make something. I don't know. I'm not very good at these things. Knitting. My sister likes to knit scarves or sweaters, or little hand warmers, or that kind of stuff. All these things, little bits of repair work, stuff like that. These are things that pass time, and when you do them, when you sit down and you make something or you do something, it's like a hobby sometimes, because you might do something and time goes by quickly because you don't think about the time. You just think about what you're doing. That's what pastime means. Time passes easily, or time passes quickly. Killing time is just anything to just get rid of the time. So pastime is more positive, and it can be more productive, where killing time is just anything. And of course, wasting time means you're doing something when you should be doing something else, right? You're just doing something that's not useful at all. So there's no purpose to it. You're just doing nothing. This is the kind of thing that parents use. Parents don't yell at their kids for killing time or passing time. If you're passing time reading a book, your parents will probably love you. But if you're wasting time playing computer games, they will be angry. That's the difference of the usage there, right? So this article goes through a whole bunch of stuff, typical things. Americans watch a ridiculous amount of television. They're the nation that invented the television. They're the nation that is addicted to it as well. Um, they've they're kind of obsessed with this. There's actually a lot of education and there's a lot of money that's invested, business invested in time management, right? Managing your own life and managing time, like as they say, time is money. So controlling your schedule and trying to make sure that you're efficient and you work hard and you're productive is a skill, and it's important for you to develop it. So there's a lot of people who are consulting or they're experts at getting more out of less time. One way that you can do that is by multitasking. I do this all the time. When I do this video lecture and then I pull up my website and I start uploading this video lecture. I edit it and I upload it, and then I check the attendance and I try to do everything at the same time. While this video lecture is uploading, I'm already writing things, and by the time it's finished uploading, I go to my YouTube channel and then I attach the link, and everything kind of happens and it's overlapping all the time. When I'm driving my car, I listen to other professors lecture or I listen to audiobooks so that I can kind of study and not waste time driving places. I do that when I'm walking and exercising too, so I can do multiple things at the same time. Sometimes I walk my dog, so I'm exercising and I'm walking my dog and I'm listening to an audiobook at the same time. And so then you can, do more than one thing at once and save yourself some time. You do need downtime, what we call downtime. I should put that up here too. You need downtime. It's not wasting time. Downtime is just time for you to recover. You need to not do too much and not focus on the things you're stressed about or that you feel need to be, you don't feel like you have to make things or be productive for a while, because this is good for you mentally. And then once you have your downtime and you go back to work or go back to what you were doing, you'll have more energy and you'll be more effective. And so that time is also very important for us. So that is what the topic is going to be. Not that you have to talk about time management, right? So I would like you to use, if possible, the present perfect continuous. So talk about something that you do, right? And you can talk about it using these expressions. Talk about ways that you like to pass the time. So this can be a hobby, right? This can be a hobby. This can be something ongoing that you do. This can be something for your own health. It can be exercise. It can be a skill or a class or a club, right? Anything like that, okay? As long as it's ongoing. The thing has to be ongoing. So I'm going to ask you this question. What have you been doing? And you get to choose something that's ongoing that you think is interesting. Explain about it in the present perfect continuous, right? The way you say, I have been playing the violin for 3 months, okay? Or I've been volunteering. We did do the charity one as well. I've been volunteering with my friends to clean up the neighborhood for 3 months. Or I have been exercising at the local gym for a year, whatever it is. I've been studying Spanish. I heard a couple students say that. You choose whatever the activity is, education, activity, health, membership in a club, whatever it is, some skill you're developing or something you're building or practicing, and tell me about that. And that's question number 9 for the exam. Thank you again for listening, and hopefully from here on in, no more technical problems. And remember the recorded. A couple of people were asking, again, we talked about it in the Zoom lecture, but the recorded presentation and the outline, it's all on the website. You have to hand it in by December 1st. Okay? Thank you, everyone, for listening, and have a good day.